Your Excellency, what did the SSPX preserve? The traditional Mass, the sacraments, and the courage to resist modernism. Your Excellency, what is wrong with the SSPX? They defend tradition, yet still treat modernists as true popes. Your Excellency, what is the SSPX's greatest contradiction, and what is their central error? They obey the Pope in theory, but judge him in practice. They recognize papal authority, yet reserve the final judgment to themselves. The Society of St. Pius X preserves traditional liturgy and modernist errors, but they resist the Pope's authority, creating a theological paradox, and erects a parallel hierarchy. Their position is Sedevacantism in disguise. Your Excellency, what if there are no Sedeprivationist priests nearby? Then attend the SSPX. It is not the ideal, but it faithfully preserves the traditional Mass and sacraments. Your Excellency, has the SSPX done good for the Church? Indeed, they have preserved the traditional faith for countless Catholics throughout the world. Your Excellency, what do you wish for the SSPX? May God bless their work, preserve tradition through them, and lead them to the fullness of Catholic truth.
The Society of St. Pius X, SSPX, founded by Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre in 1970, occupies a unique position in the traditional Catholic world. They adopt a stance known as recognize and resist, R and R. They recognize the post-conciliar popes as true, formal authorities, but they actively resist any orders, liturgies, or doctrines from them that contradict traditional Catholic teaching. From the standpoint of strict traditional dogmatic theology, particularly through the lens of Sedeprivationism and the pre-conciliar Magisterium, the SSPX gets several crucial things right on a practical level, but falls into major errors on a structural level.
Your Excellency, what did the SSPX preserve? The traditional Mass, the sacraments, and the courage to resist modernism.
What the SSPX gets right. 1. The preservation of the sacraments and liturgy. The SSPX correctly recognized that the Novus Ordo Missae, New Mass, introduced by Pope Paul VI in 1969, represented a striking departure from Catholic Eucharistic theology. They successfully preserved the traditional Latin Mass, the traditional Roman breviary, and the traditional rites of all 7 sacraments. Without Archbishop Lefebvre's resistance, the traditional Roman rite may have been entirely eradicated from public life. 2. The identification of modernist errors. The SSPX has been a brilliant, uncompromising voice against the errors of the Second Vatican Council. They have correctly dissected and condemned ecumenism, the false idea that non-Catholic religions are instruments of salvation, religious liberty, the idea that man has a natural right to error, which contradicts the traditional doctrine of the social kingship of Christ, collegiality, the democratization of the church structure that weakens papal authority. 3. Spiritual and practical infrastructure. The SSPX did not flee to the woods. They built a highly organized, robust Catholic infrastructure. They established traditional seminaries, schools, convents, and priories worldwide, ensuring that generations of Catholics could be raised with uncompromised traditional catechism, holy priests, and a vibrant Catholic culture.
Your Excellency, what is wrong with the SSPX? They defend tradition, yet still treat modernists as true popes.
What the SSPX gets wrong, the theological core. While their practical defense of the faith is admirable, their underlying theological position creates a massive, dangerous paradox when measured against Catholic dogma. 1. Destroying the dogma of papal primacy and infallibility. The R&R stance presents an unresolvable theological contradiction.
Your Excellency, what is the SSPX's greatest contradiction, and what is their central error? They obey the Pope in theory, but judge him in practice. They recognize papal authority, yet reserve the final judgment to themselves.
If the Pope is truly a formal Pope possessing the authority of Jesus Christ, he is guided by the Holy Spirit. According to the dogmas of Vatican I, a Pope's universal disciplinary laws, his universal liturgies, and his solemn canonizations of saints cannot be harmful or heretical to the faithful. By saying, Francis is a true Pope, but his Mass is harmful, his catechism is bad, and his canonizations are fake, so we will sift through his decrees and only obey what we want, the SSPX effectively sets themselves up as a supreme tribunal above the Pope. This is fundamentally a Gallican or Eastern Orthodox attitude toward authority, not a Roman Catholic one. 2. Operating a permanent parallel hierarchy. Because they reject the local diocesan bishops and the Vatican's directives, the SSPX operates an entire international network of tribunals, marriage annulment courts, and missionary chapels totally independent of the Pope. In traditional canon law, setting up a permanent parallel church hierarchy without papal mandate is the exact definition of a schismatic act. They claim necessity justifies this, but a state of necessity cannot justify violating the dogmatic nature of the papacy for decades on end. 3. The compromise of canonical recognition. Because the SSPX desperately wants to maintain that the modern Vatican is the true formal authority, they constantly negotiate with Rome for canonical approval. This creates a dangerous double-mindedness. For example, they have accepted jurisdiction from Pope Francis for confessions and marriages, meaning they are partially integrated into the modernist system they claim is poisoning souls.
Your Excellency, has the SSPX done good for the Church? Indeed. They have preserved the traditional faith for countless Catholics throughout the world.
Conclusion. The Sedeprivationist verdict. The SSPX is like a group of loyal soldiers who are heroically defending the castle, but have completely forgotten how military authority works. They are fundamentally right to refuse the new Mass and the errors of Vatican II. However, their theological explanation is broken. You cannot claim a man is the Vicar of Christ while treating his daily governance, laws, and official teachings as toxic sewage. The Sedeprivationist Cassiciacum Thesis corrects this error. It agrees with the SSPX that we must resist the modernists, but it correctly points out that we resist them because their public heresy has stripped them of formal authority. We do not disobey a true pope. We recognize that a modernist cannot formally be a pope.
Your Excellency, what if there are no Sedeprivationist priests nearby? Then attend the SSPX. It is not the ideal, but it faithfully preserves the traditional Mass and sacraments. Your Excellency, what do you wish for the SSPX? May God bless their work, preserve tradition through them, and lead them to the fullness of Catholic truth.